Welcome back to another episode of the Church of Atheism. We have a guest with us today. We have JR, who does. What do? You got some Bible misreadings? Is that what you got there?
Well, yeah. It's looking at different verses, turning them into jokes, making stories out of them, and
Nice.
taking a piss.
I've read most of your most recent ones. They're fucking hilarious.
Thanks.
I've had to share quite a few of them out.
Well, at least somebody's reading them.
Yeah, they're fucking hilarious. Chris is here too. Chris is back with us this week also.
I am.
We got a new software going, so hopefully we sound a little better than usual.
So far, working awesome.
Yeah. So JR,
Yeah.
yeah, I guess you're our first guest, so you're going to be kind of a guinea pig on how good of interviewers we are. But what have you always been an atheist, or like what age did you become atheist?
Mid-20s.
Mid-20s?
Yeah, and before that, I actually went through a phase in my teens when I was a pagan.
Pagan.
So, yeah.
Sexy.
Yeah.
Paganism rules.
Lots of nudity and candles and all that kind of shit.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, so it was like quite like early teens when I realized that Christianity just didn't make any sense to me,
Yeah.
and was already annoying the Jehovah's Witnesses who came to the door with too many awkward questions and things like that.
Oh god. Yeah, I remember being a kid every fucking Saturday morning. Because where I lived was close to a Jehovah's Witness church or building or whatever. Every goddamn Saturday morning, I'm trying to eat some Count Chocula, watch some cartoons.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it's like they have little colonies or something.
Yeah, they do. That was really like Jehovah's Witness was the first time, because I was definitely born into like a Christian, like Lutheran family. And that was the first time I realized that my dad kind of told me that, like kind of explained to me without being harsh, like, no, there's just some branches of Christianity that are batshit.
Yeah. It's like the Mormons and Jehovah's Witnesses, they kind of get, they're like the whipping boys. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, we might be crazy, but we're not fucking that crazy.
Mhm.
I've always wanted to see like some sort of a tournament, like NCAA style, where like the bracket and everything, and just have like the most batshit crazy religion, like tournament.
Yeah, we should definitely put that together.
Yes.
And then Scientology comes along and says, hold my beer, I've got this.
Yeah.
Scientology gets like a 13-round bye into the championship.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the one which is the most blatantly cult-like, and I don't know if you're legally allowed to say that, but it really, in its organization, it is more like it is just like a big cult.
Oh yeah. We did a couple of Scientology episodes, and it's like they are so litigious. Like
Yeah.
they have great lawyers. So when we were doing our Scientology episode, we pretty much prefaced every sentence with "now allegedly." Or, yeah.
Yeah, well, allegedly they're like a cult. But yeah, it's like where other branches of Christianity, they do it more subtly, and it's like, you know, you're part of the community, you're kind of chipping into the church. With them, it really is a case of like, you've got to pay for these different levels, which is
Crazy.
fucking blatant.
It's so like transparent. Like it's so transparently a scam.
Allegedly.
And yet, people fall for them.
Allegedly.
Which part's alleged, the transparency or the scam?
Yes.
Yes. Whatever doesn't get us sued.
Yes, exactly.
I'd just like to say, before I say anything else about Scientology, I'm actually doing air quotes around everything. So
Yes, air quotes are implied. Yeah.
Yeah. And I would also like to say, I like the Mission Impossible movies.
Yeah.
So, and John Travolta killed it in Pulp Fiction.
Obviously.
So Yeah, so
John Travolta's never had a bad movie, as far as I'm concerned.
no, never. Michael.
No.
That was.
Yeah.
You guys ever see that where he was Michael the Angel or something?
Yeah, and then there's that Scientology one with what the fuck was that? With like he's a giant blue alien.
After Earth.
Yeah, that it's a good concept, but it's just like
Oh, not After Earth. After Earth was that weird Will Smith one. That was like his first shitty movie that people just like hated. What am I trying to? Oh, Battlefield Earth.
that's the one. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was gonna say After Earth as well actually before, and I thought I'm not sure. So I think shared idiocy on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I thought After Earth was also maybe based on some Scientology. I don't know. Will Smith like started. I don't know if he's like a closet Scientologist. That's what the rumor is.
Oh,
Right.
interesting.
But yeah,
Interesting.
That was a weird thing. Like when I was actually looking into Scientology, it's like they ended up actually saying, there's not very many African Americans joining our ranks, and we might look a bit racist. So they ended up actually making some kind of exchange program with the Muslim Brotherhood or whatever of America.
Wow.
Like people like Isaac Hayes got involved,
Wow.
Oh, that makes sense.
Interesting.
and I found that kind of weird because it's like obviously there were people who were like devout Muslims, and then they're being told this new stuff about L. Ron Hubbard and stuff like that, and
Like religions start treating like players like NBA teams do.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. Like, I wonder how you pitch that to like Nation of Islam people. It's like, hey, if you like Islam, you'll love this made-up religion with a maybe pedophile who founded it.
Scientology gets. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say I can see some parallels there.
Yeah. Scientology gets John Travolta and a player to be named later.
Yeah, that was the draft.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like you could imagine them saying, "Well, you've got like Muhammad going up to the moon on a unicorn or whatever the fuck that was, a winged horse."
Yep.
So it's like it's not that much of a stepping stone to have like B-52 or whatever those aircraft were that
Yeah.
they modeled their spaceships after.
Oh, the what was it DC-10?
That's the ones
Yeah. No, that's actually a pretty good point. I never really thought of it in terms like that, but
they were cutting technology when he was writing his fiction, which was so awesome.
yeah.
It just blows my mind, like how people can just fall for it so easily. Like it was
Well-
written by a goddamn fictional author.
Yeah, but this is the thing. It's like I've said a lot of times. It's not about how intelligent people are, because there's a lot of like really intelligent people
Yeah.
seem to be suckered into things which to other people you can see from the outside it's just obviously a scam. But it's the manipulation. It's just the power that they get and the emotional manipulation that they can exert on people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, yeah, we've definitely talked about that on the show, but like, it was one of the Penn and Teller episodes about religion or something. But this one lady summed it up great. It's just that intelligent people are really good at rationalizing not so intelligent.
Yeah.
Yep.
And when you see the apologists for Christianity, it's like they've obviously done some sort of thinking about it, but they can't possibly get the answer that what they believe is wrong. They have to come up with like some kind of like complicated way of making it right, and they manage to do something which is convincing to the followers, and even some people on the outside.
Yeah, which is how we get creationism. That's
Yep.
like a pretty real. That's a fairly new thing.
Yeah, it's not even something which, like, you couldn't really call it a thing back when people actually believed that's how it was, how everything came about, really. It was just like, this is just our worldview sort of thing. Creationism's added an extra layer to that, where you've actually got, like, we need to discredit everything. We need to like kind of sell ourselves as science, like intelligent design and all this. So it's a lot more insidious, and it's become a much bigger thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's kind of funny. Like, the more science finds out, and the more science got into the mainstream, then you got the Christians that are like, okay, we need to combine the two.
Yeah.
And just make Christianity even more ridiculous somehow.
Yeah, it's funny that's the actual result, because it's like when you actually see these people, like saying, like, what you're saying is that a rock ended up giving birth to a monkey, and it's like, well, look, anybody knows that that's not what evolution is. If you just do
Yeah.
a quick Google search, you'd know that's not what it is. But
Yeah.
this is what they have to jump to, and it's not because they've got no fucking argument for their position. They just have to try to bash ours with this colossal straw man.
Oh, they have like the most ridiculous ones too. Like, well, if evolution's real, then why don't frogs produce humans? Like,
Yeah.
What?
It's like, you know what? Maybe they will, but it's going to take a few million years, probably.
I've actually seen some people who would kind of support the idea of frogs turning into people. So
Alex Jones.
Yeah, that's why he's obsessed with lizard people.
Yep.
They all remind me of my grandma. She was beautiful.
I was part of the Jewish lizard. I had a good Alex Jones like about a month ago when we did our show, and I kind of lost it. I was working on my Alex Jones impression, and then I just lost it. I had a Jamaican Alex Jones. We're talking about, talking about I forgot what I said. I don't know. I talk to myself at work, like in impression voices, and I was putting away the kosher wine, so of course I had to talk about like, where do you think all that? Damn it!
Oh God.
Oh yeah.
I just nearly choked myself.
So where about are you from, by the way? I meant to ask that earlier.
Northeast England.
Northeast England. Okay. So what?
I was gonna guess China by the accent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw the Chinaman talk like this.
Yeah.
Accent on TV.
Yeah.
We've been running a scam on you.
So, stupid question, but when it comes to like religion and America, like what do you guys on the outside looking in think of Americans as far as the religion goes?
That's a good question, actually.
I'm trying to think whether or not I should try to give like a polite answer or a realistic answer.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, give a.
You basically look across at you and say, "What the fuck's happened?" It's like,
Yeah.
it's like somebody set up a lab and said, like, "We're going to breed these different religions and see what crazy shit comes out." We've got an official church here. It's like the Church of England.
Yeah.
Country, and yet society is more secular on the whole. It's like you don't have people running around saying, like, "God bless you," and oh, you've got to make sure you say Merry Christmas, otherwise you'll offend Jesus by taking Christ out of Christmas and all that shit. It's like, if somebody says Merry Christmas to you and you don't celebrate Christmas, you just go, "Oh, Merry Christmas," and
Right. Off you go.
okay with it. It's like over there, it seems to start like really, really, really like aggro arguments.
Yeah.
It's like my ex-mother-in-law, because I was engaged to a woman in Florida. She actually ended up like trying to give me a lecture about it, and like they're trying to take Christ out of Christmas. There's like a war on Christmas. It's like,
Yeah.
have you been to any of your shops at Christmas time?
Clearly
It's like,
not the case.
these look like fucking Jewish decorations to you. It's like Christmas has fucking won there.
Yeah.
That's like that is such a good point, is that Christmas won.
Right.
The war is over.
How many like packs of holiday lights do you actually see being sold there? It's like they all say Christmas on them. It's like it's very clear what it's for.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that the American Christians seem to have like a really severe persecution complex. It's like it just
Yes.
got so powerful to the point that they're actually like paranoid. It's like we can't really go any further up, so it's like they're gonna fucking come for us. They're gonna take us down. We're too powerful. We can't maintain this position.
Yeah. It's funny. It's funny what you said because I was thinking like when I was researching the whole snake handling church thing. I just remember like kind of putting the phone down and being like, it's funny. The whole reason the colonies broke away from the Church of England, or one of the reasons, not the reason, but it had a lot to do with freedom of religion. And it's like, so in the Constitution, there's freedom of religion, and then this is what we get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when you give Americans the freedom to worship whatever they want, this is what they fucking come up with. It's insane.
Yeah, and it's like there's a lot of European countries actually where they've like traditionally got state churches, and it's like it's the same situation as in England. A lot of them have actually just turned very secular or completely secular. So I really think that it's a case of like everybody who had like a fringe idea just said, well, fuck it, we're not staying here, went off over there, and it's just gone to shit. Whereas here it was kind of like they were reined in. If they had anything that was like too out there, it was just called heresy or blasphemy. And so
Right.
they kind of stemmed the flow of it.
Good old America.
Yeah. But it's like, I can understand in principle, it's like, fair enough, you want freedom of religion and they should be entitled to go off and create their own little cookie club there. But yeah, it's ended up where allowing them to do that, this is the result. You get the crazies.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah, we get the crazies all right.
Those were
And
kind
it's
of
like-
fun.
Yeah, it's like we had Mormons actually came across here, and it wasn't really an established thing here. So the Mormons who came across it were actually American missionaries come into the door, and it's like they weren't exactly the most world-wise people, and they're kind of to me they were kind of like stereotypical Americans, really. In that it's like if you go into a shop over in America and it's like, have a nice day and all like putting on the cheery smile sort of thing.
Right.
This is what these people were like. And it seemed really over the top. It's like a mother ended up shutting the door on them and saying, I'd like to have some of what they've been smoking.
Unfortunately, they don't smoke or drink anything. They're just bonkers.
Restrictive underwear, maybe. Restrictive magical
There it
underwear.
At least Charles Manson's followers had the excuse of lots of psychedelic drugs.
Exactly.
Yeah, I actually had the privilege of knowing somebody who was an ex-Mormon, and he'd actually even gone through the process of becoming an elder, which, like, it takes you a step up and you get to know all these special hidden truths and stuff like that. And he said, I was already having doubts about it, but since they offered, I thought, well, I'll check it out, see what they're going to do. And he described his initiation ceremony as being taken into a dark basement, anointed from all angles while he was naked, given special underwear, taught some secret handshakes, and then given a secret name that if he told anybody, he would die.
Wow.
It's like,
That
Yeah.
sounds like the gayest clubhouse you would have with your friends in elementary school.
yeah, come into the basement, we're going to anoint you. Everything's got to be anointed.
Yeah. I'd be like, I'm calling my mom. I don't want to sleep over at your house anymore.
Y'all are weird.
Yeah.
And they've even got that thing, if you fucking tell anybody, you're going to be in deep shit. It's not going to be us who beats you up, God is.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm gonna call God on you.
Yeah, and it's like one of the first things he actually told me is, do you know, in Mormonism, God lives on a planet called Kolob. And I said, that's bollock backwards. It's like as close to Kolob as you can get.
Yeah, it is. Well played, Mormonism.
Yeah.
I think they do that deliberately, like put something in there that's blatant and say they won't spot it.
Oh man, I forgot. Yeah, me and Travis were talking about this article of like, there's this Mormon guy and he got good at forgery, and
Right.
so he started just forging like Mormon documents, and they're so fucking gullible. This guy made so much goddamn money,
Yeah.
Billions.
like forging Mormon documents, because yeah, they were just willing to believe anything. I guess, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like these are the people who believe that Jesus made it across to America, so
Yeah. He's gonna resurrect himself in Missouri,
yeah.
Oh,
Jackson,
yeah.
Missouri,
which, if you've
which
been to
is the
Missouri, makes
original
total
Garden of
sense.
Eden. Yeah, they were saying that was the original Eden, was in Jackson, Missouri.
Yeah, makes sense. It checks
I've
out.
been to Missouri. It is for sure not any
Yeah.
sort of Garden of Eden.
Nowhere near what you'd call a holy land.
It's gone downhill since then. All that
Yeah.
original sin.
Dude, when you drive on the interstate, I-70, the whole way between Kansas City and St. Louis is nothing but billboards for churches
Yeah.
or porn shops.
Mhm.
Is
It's
that
the-
pawn shop with a AW or
The holy porn shop.
Yeah.
Come see Eve like you've never seen her before.
Jesus' spectacular hole? There needs to be a sex doll like that, actually. Like a Jesus with, like, you inflate it and it's got, like, holes in its palm.
Yeah.
So it's like, you can, like, satisfy 4 men at a time because he's, like, got his mouth gaping open.
Gangbang
I'm-
Jesus.
I don't know, but I am already fairly certain that exists. When it comes to weird sex toys and porn.
They can call it Jesus fucking Christ.
Hey!
Hell yeah.
Our soon-to-be next sponsor.
The things that guy will do for your sins.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a subservient guy, liked to wash feet. He'll get down on his knees for you.
Yep.
Yeah, he had some weird kinks, didn't he?
Holy hand job,
Yeah.
Batman.
But they nailed him in the end.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's very easy to put Jesus down. Such a target. It's like
Oh,
some
dude.
kind of mortar.
I was watching Sopranos the other day, and there's one of the Jewish characters, and then they're having a problem with him, and someone was like, he's like, "What? Fuck that Christ killer!" Jesus.
Oh, that's on Netflix now, by the way. I'm gonna start watching it.
What? It's on Netflix?
Yep, I promised you I'd start watching it. Now it's on Netflix. I'll be watching it now.
Oh yeah, I'm obsessed with that show. I make all my friends watch that.
Is it a requirement for friendship? You have to watch the show.
Pretty much, like it is pretty good.
Yeah, I was grandfathered in because I've known him since we were like 3 months old.
Right.
But
Yeah.
yeah, any of his new friends have to watch Sopranos.
Yeah. It's just going to work on you slowly.
Exactly.
Come over to the Sopranos side.
Or else.
Dude, I promise you, once you watch that show, you're gonna want to buy a tracksuit, hang outside a coffee shop all day.
I mean, I already do that.
We've actually had people here claiming to be the Messiah who actually dressed like that. You've probably heard of David Icke. He
Yeah.
actually came out and claimed to be the Messiah at one point.
Yeah, I have heard of him.
Sounds right.
On like mainstream television as well. It's like one of the, I think it was Terry Wogan, who was like a really popular mainstream talk show in the night. And he's just like talking, like frankly saying, if Jesus had come back, to nowadays, people would be reacting the same way. So I understand your laughter and trying to act all meek and stuff. And then he ended up saying, no, this isn't working out. I'm not getting enough followers. I'm going to stop raving about lizard people.
I do like to believe that is what Jesus would do.
Yeah.
just start getting really into conspiracies.
Yeah, they cut his life too short. The things that man could have come up with.
Dude, yeah, I wonder if if the Bible's correct and Jesus comes back, I wonder if he's going to come back a huge anti-Semite.
I'm not sure if he's actually going to be a fan of like churches in general. It's like he died on a cross.
Yeah.
He died on a cross, and they put the fuckers everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
They've got. You'd have the same reaction as a vampire. It's like, get it away. I still have fucking splinters.
Dude, yeah, that'd be like if I choked to death on a chicken bone, and then I came back 2,000 years later, and people were worshiping me, and they had a chicken bone symbol. Like, what the fuck?
And they all like hold it out, and like they've got their hands in the air, like, oh, for fuck's sake, you don't understand the trauma I went through.
Yeah.
For you guys, it's been 2,000 years. For me, I just woke up yesterday.
Yeah.
And also, he would have been like the size of Tom Cruise as well, like because everybody was shorter back then.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And he most certainly would not have been a white guy.
No. Yeah,
No.
it's funny because it's like they always want him to be like have blue eyes and Caucasian, and then you go to the black church and they've got like black Jesus, which isn't exactly right either. It's like, is that ever
At least closer.
Yeah.
is it ever going to be a church where they get like the right color? Like it's just going to look like some Israeli bloke. Like
I imagine Jesus would come back either driving a cab or owning a 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
and he change his name to Jesus.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
Oh,
bring you
man.
tidings and burritos. I don't know if that's racially insensitive, but Mexicans do make burritos, and they're nice.
Very true. Very true. So, I was going to ask you a question, and I kind of forgot how to say it. With you got the website of the misread Bible quotes. Like,
Yeah.
what's I guess for Chris and I to do like the podcast, we kind of have a little bit of our own motivation. Like, what kind of motivates you? Like, why do you want to be an outspoken atheist?
Part of it is that can be really argumentative. That's kind of gives you a tendency to be outspoken. But the reason I ended up actually doing the stories I did and the jokes and everything, it's just a case of I've always been fascinated with the Bible because it is, as long as you're not reading through like the boring genealogies and all of that shit, it can be quite interesting. Like, this is what people actually thought.
Right.
So I kind of combined that with I just like making people laugh, really. So I thought, well, I wonder if I can get some jokes out of it, and it turns out I can. And
Nice.
if there's a God, I'm going to hell for it, but I got my fucking laugh in.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right. Cool.
But yeah, it's like it's not a case of like saying I want everybody to follow me, and it's like you get all these people saying, oh, I need to get to 1,000 followers, and I'm going to give you some kind of special gift if I do it. I'll show you my face, I'll show you my tits or whatever. And,
Right.
you know, it's like, really and truly, if somebody turns around and says, oh, that was really funny, that really made me laugh, then I'll say, right, well, I've done what I came to do, really.
Yeah,
Nice.
I think that's a good attitude. I mean, if we get 1 million followers, I'll grant them eternal life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
With my father.
I do plan on becoming just an outrageous asshole if we ever become famous. So.
Yeah, and then turn around and like treat everybody else like, you know, you haven't worked hard enough. You don't
Exactly.
have slaved over this.
Exactly.
You don't remember the days of the broken websites, you know, trying to get fucking plugins to work and
Oh my god. True.
Yeah. Oh no, yeah. If we were to get rich off of this, I cannot wait to criticize poor people
Yep.
for well, maybe you should have just talked to your friend for an hour and a half every week.
yeah. It's like you know, you were talking to your friend for free. You could have been making that into a living.
Exactly.
Fucking slacker. Yeah.
I mean, my father and his father, they worked their ass off in the podcast mines.
Yep. Got black lung from the podcast minds.
Yeah. They came from Kennesaw Mountain, Virginia.
Yep.
Just working at the podcast mines all day.
This sounds like the start of like a dystopian future thing. It's like this is before the iPods became sentient and took over. It's like there were people actually working in the podcast mines, and then the iPods turned around and said, "You're not mining hard enough. You need to get more silicon for us." It's like whipping them with their earbuds.
Yeah, you have that iPods.
It's like the most woke way to be whipped.
Yeah, it really is.
It's like your back's being torn to bits, but at least you look fucking trendy.
Fields all day, all night.
Yeah, when the
you have-
podcast field's dry, it's like you just have to keep on toiling.
Yep.
That's what future rock and roll. That's what it'll be called in the future too. Is future rock and roll. Well,
Right.
actually, it was old gospel songs from the podcast mines.
Yeah.
The podcast slaves used to sing them to get through the hour.
You can imagine them actually singing the Who out here in the field.
Come and take my hand.
Oh god. It's funny because you end up like thinking, my mind goes off on tangents, and then you start talking to two people where they're just as deranged as you are.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, we cannot stay on topic for shit.
No, if we have a
Most
set
of the
topic, we go from like 4 or 5, maybe 6 sentences in, and then we're talking about Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Yeah, I talk about The Simpsons a lot because, especially when it comes to religion, having been on for 30 years, they really dig into religion.
Yeah.
And they get off with it as well, which is good.
Yep.
It's like I actually saw this thing where I've got no idea if it was for real, but they had a website where they were saying like Ned Flanders is like the ideal Christian. You should emulate Ned. And
Yeah.
it's like I can understand that because it's like he puts up with some fucking shit on that with Homer and stuff.
Yep. Howdy, neighbors.
Yeah.
Until he has like the breakdown and starts like diddling all over the place.
Yeah.
If anybody isn't familiar with The Simpsons, that's going to sound kind of different. Don't diddle all over the place.
Yeah, I bring it up all the time. So
Yeah, I think
anyone
we
who's
felt-
been listening is familiar with The
Yeah,
Simpsons.
we filtered out all the non-listeners by now.
So I think we whittled it down.
I think there are only like 4 people that listen to us are also Simpsons fans.
Right. Did you ever watch Rick and Morty?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yes.
Because that's another thing where it's like he just ends up like coming out and saying, "Oh, religion's a lie. You just need to like rip that band-aid off,
Yep.
deal with it." I can't remember why I actually thought of that. There was something earlier you said that made me think of it, and I can't remember what it is. So
There was a really good quote from Dan Harmon, one of the co-creators of Rick and Morty. And it's like, somebody was asking about his theme of nihilism throughout Rick and Morty, because I think he considers himself a bit of a nihilist. And he had such a great quote that I've never forgot, which is like, nihilism is actually the most beautiful belief system because nobody truly cares about nothing unless you're mentally ill. And if you're a nihilist, all you care about is the moment and the people in your life.
Yeah.
yeah,
And there's definitely some
Truth to that.
something to be gained from that.
yeah. There's loads of it's like they always try to say atheists are nihilists, and it's like, oh, you believe in nothing, and your life must be hopeless, and all this kind of stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
the matter is, it's like it's a case if they actually came out of their religion, that's how they would feel without this security blanket of God. They would
Yep.
actually have like a period where they're actually like feeling like what the fuck matters now, and they should actually speak to some atheists and see how we think about things and
Yeah.
how we make things meaningful, and that it's not a really atrocious thing to do to actually say, you know what, I can decide what the meaning of my life is. That's not me saying I'm a god. It's me saying, well, it's my fucking life.
Right.
Who else
Very
is going to
true.
make it meaningful?
Yeah, and I always kind of thought like nihilism. I think in a similar vein is like,
No, it's not like hopelessness and despair. It's like nothing matters. Who cares? Just don't be a dick and try and be happy.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people who actually live that way, and funnily enough, a lot of them are religious. it's
True.
it's bizarre. It's like, I'm sure that like a lot of these televangelists who are scamming the shit out of people, like just going and saying, well, you know, our ministry needs like a new water fountain or something like that, but it's actually going towards my Rolls Royce and
Right.
7 wives and stuff. You know, it's like those people have to really have this like, I couldn't give a shit attitude. I don't give a shit like where I get the money from. I don't give a shit how I spend it. I'm just gonna enjoy myself. I've got no illusion that those people know what they're fucking doing and it's a scam.
Yeah. Oh, wait a second. Do you guys hear that meowing?
Yeah.
I didn't.
I gotta. All right, hold on. Give me
All right.
1 second. I gotta open this door for the cat. 'Cause
It's the podcat.
yeah, it clearly demands an I answer. So
I think it's Schrodinger's podcast as well, because it's like he could hear it and I couldn't.
I have an ear for cats.
all right, yeah, 1 second.
All right.
That's definitely something that you should put on your resume. I've
Yeah.
got an ear for cats.
Yep. I actually have that on there. That's how I've gotten every job so far. I have an ear for cats? Yeah. No matter how quiet the meow is, I can hear it.
That's
Gets me
another
every
thing.
job.
It's a, yeah, we've got like, instead of it being called a resume, it's the CV, a curriculum vitae. And there's this whole thing about like, oh, now we're going to do it in this style. You've got to put a little message about yourself, like all your key skills and things like that. And
Oh, jeez.
it's a, oh, I'm a hard worker and I'm honest and trustworthy and all this kind of stuff, which if you were a liar, you would put on anyway.
Right.
It's like, well, he wrote down he was trustworthy. We didn't think he was going to embezzle our money. What a fucking liar. I'm shocked.
Who saw that coming?
That kind of ties back into the televangelists.
Yeah, more or less, yeah.
It's come full circle just in time for...
Oh, he was a godly person. Who would have known he was going to scam us?
Yeah. Was there anything else you wanted to discuss about, like, the website or the stories or anything on that topic?
Yeah. I mean, if you want to, I guess we can plug it. Do you want to give the website away, or give it a? What am I trying to say?
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with the website. Do you want me to plug it, or should
Yeah, go ahead. Go
I pretend to be humble and say, "Oh no, I couldn't possibly. You'll have to do that."
ahead. Nah. Just go for it.
Yeah, it's www.misreadbible.com. All one word, no hyphens. And it's got all the stories and a few parodies and different things like that.
Hilarious.
So check it out.
Yeah. So, do you have any favorite Bible moments that you find like absurd or humorous or?
That's actually a good question, because it's there are times when I'll look at a story and I'll say, like, how the fuck could I make this more absurd than it already is? It's like,
Yeah.
going through Genesis, it's like there's a story where obviously you've got like Sodom and Gomorrah, God's raining down fire, because Lot is the only righteous man in the city. The guy who said, you know, oh, don't be so cruel as to rape angels, rape my daughters instead. You're the only fucking righteous person in Sodom. Anyway, he goes away from Sodom. They end up going to the city of Gerar, which wasn't destroyed, but so presumably it had people in it, and then decide, oh, we can't stay here. And then the daughters turn around and say, well, oh, there's nobody else on Earth. You know, we've just been to that fucking city where there were people, but there's obviously nobody else on Earth. It might be an idea if we take turns with Dad, you know, that we don't depopulate. And it's like you end up reading this and thinking, well, what can I actually do to this that would actually make it
More ridiculous.
It's like, and people are going to read this, and if they don't know the story to begin with, they're just going to think this guy is just like writing incest porn. Like,
Oh yeah.
so the only way I could think of framing it actually was to say, like, you've got the elder daughter ends up turning around, just like they're sitting there having like one of their sisterly chats or whatever, and she just goes, "I fucked Dad last night." And the other one's like, "What?" It's like, yeah. I think you should try it. It's like, what the fuck are you on about? And it's like one of them's like, the younger sister is basically playing the part of the reader because it's like she's reacting like any fucking sane person would.
Right.
Of course, the Bible, which is holy and, you know, that just has her saying, "Oh yeah, that's a good idea, actually." You know, so I thought, what if she actually behaved like a real person and was absolutely appalled by the idea?
Oh, that's funny.
So, but yeah, and I was in two minds about releasing it as well afterwards. I thought it's like if people don't read the story, they are honestly going to think that it's that I'm just deliberately trying to be blasphemous, which I don't mind, but
It's not quite the goal.
incest blasphemy.
Which really, I mean, if you think about it, according to the Bible, incest had to have taken place multiple times for it to work out. So you really can't be too offended by it.
Yeah, it's like Adam and Eve. It's like there's a common thing that I've seen atheists actually say, which I've set them right on, where they say, "Oh, it only says they had 3 boys." Well, the thing is, it says they go on to have brothers and sisters after that. So, it's like it's very clear they were fucking their sisters. And
Yes.
it's like I did the story of Lamech because it's like there's 2 Lamechs that get mentioned in the early part of the Bible. One of them ends up going on to have Noah because he comes from like the righteous line of Seth, and then you've got like the evil Lamech who came from Cain, the murderer. And it ended up it's got the story where it's like going through and saying you've got like this person went on and they had sons with this person, and so it's obvious like what's happened is Cain went off to the land of Nod, took one of his sisters, ended up like having incestuous sex with her. They had kids who had incestuous sex with each other, and then they went on having like this long chain of incest until they get to like Lamech. And so I ended up having like the comment in the thing that like by the end of it he just looked like they were so inbred they looked like badly chewed gum, you know. Homunculus people.
Oh my god.
It's like what you see like on these things like Deliverance and like with the hillbillies and stuff.
Right.
It's like,
Oh, that kid playing guitar. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I think that Lamech probably invented that, and it would have been happening on the other side, but it's like obviously they're the righteous ones, so we have to ignore that. They have the pure bloodline or whatever the apologetic is.
Yeah. You were incest.
I kind of want to write. Yeah, I kind of want to write a video of like the Bible being like contemporary Hollywood movie producers
Yeah.
being like, yeah, I don't know. I had this idea a couple days ago. Yeah, just like Bible verse, like absurd Bible verses, and then like you have all these like fat, old, out of touch guys being like, yes, that's what the people want.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like actually, if you watch like any of the Christian films they've got out there, the parts which they decide to like hone in on and actually do a film about, you never get the film about Lot and his daughters. You don't get the film about like the inbred family, like struggling out in the land of Nod and stuff like that,
Yeah.
with their hideously deformed children.
Can you imagine that? If they just like reported it honestly?
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like that was another thing. Like when I started writing these, I thought there are really things in this that are absurd, and I can still actually reference that, like, this is what it really says,
Yep.
and have it where people have like they will be reading it and saying, "Is this what it fucking says? I'm gonna look this up." And then it's like
Sure enough.
it ended up being one of the slogans. It's like I'm trying to remember the exact word, and I used yeah. I encourage anyone who follows me to look up any of the verses I cite for comparison. Most of them are absurd without being misread.
Yep.
And honestly, it's like I really do encourage anybody to look them up, because a lot of times it's like it doesn't take a lot of creativity to, it's the joke is already in there.
Yeah.
The joke is that people believe the actual verse.
Oh. So have you had any blowback or anything negative happen since you've been running these, or?
I've got kind of Twitter heckles. It's like somebody saying, like, I've had a few times somebody said, "That's not what it says," and then posted the real verse. It's like, well, have you seen what my name is on here? Misread Bible. Does it say like the accurately articulated Bible, like the word for word version
Right.
of the Bible? And there've been other people who've just turned around and said, "Oh, you should delete your Twitter. You should kill yourself." And I say, "Oh, well, because you've said it."
Maybe
My life
I
was quite
will.
happy, but you came along and I've just realised everything's fucking shit. It's like, these are people who haven't grown out of being teenagers. It's like when you're a teenager and somebody says kill yourself, you run away in like a little, it's like, "Oh, mommy, you
Right.
told me to kill myself." When you're like in your 30s and somebody online is saying kill yourself, it's like, who the
What?
fuck are you?
Go fuck yourself, pal.
You think that you matter to me enough to actually
Right.
have that kind of influence?
Yeah.
And I've also been threatened with hell, which kind of, just being an atheist, that tends to happen anyway. So
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
that always cracks me up that we're going to burn in hell. I was like, okay, well, according to you.
Also, another interesting thing is that from what I remember reading, I don't think the Bible at all describes hell being a hot place with fire or lava. I think that was like a medieval invention.
there's a lot of it is actually like later tradition, and there's actually some gospels which they rejected. It's like you had this whole process where they were like putting the Bible together, and it's like, which books should we keep, which ones should we get rid of? It ended up where Revelation actually barely made it, because there were most of the church fathers actually said this is like the fucking rantings of a madman. It's like he's going up into heaven and seeing these seven-headed beasts and stuff. But yeah,
That's why, yeah, Revelations rules. Like,
yeah, it's like acid trip.
yeah, like there's been, like, I've talked to like atheist friends who've like, I don't know, became atheists or were born atheists or whatever, for whatever reason. But there's so many people that agree that like, oh yeah, Revelations is cool. It's like a band. Like, yeah, I don't dig their style, but that album fucking rocked.
All right.
Yeah, it's like the best of the Bible. It's like it'll be on the greatest hits album.
Yeah. I mean, we get so many awesome things. We get 666, The Beast.
Yeah, and
There's a lot of hits from Revelations.
all the paranoid stuff, like where it's like the end of days. That's out of Revelation. It's like they've had this paranoia about like, oh, they're gonna bring out these implants that you put in so you can pay for things like electronically using your hand or whatever. That's the mark of the beast. It was prophesied.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, have you ever actually heard them talking about that, saying like the mark of the beast is actually going to be like a fucking microchip in your skin?
Oh, a lot of conspiracy theories that I've read, like a lot of them reference Revelations.
Yeah, but yeah, so it's like my original point was in that process anyway. They also had some other books that were in there that actually go into more detail about hell. I can't remember like what they were called, but they were like other gospels. But what's actually left in the Bible, it's kind of vague, and it's like it can definitely support like the view that they've got as like with the Bible, you can just fucking pick any verse to support anything really. But there's definitely seeds of that, and you can see that there was that kind of idea was in the zeitgeist of that community anyway. But there is like another gospel that really goes right into it, and that like when you've got like Dante's Inferno and all that kind of stuff, that's the kind of stuff that they were actually drawn from for that imagery, something that wasn't actually considered good enough to be in the actual Bible.
Yeah. Not considered canon,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, and this is another thing. It's like you end up saying like this is the word of God, and yet there's a vetting process. So it's like, how did they decide what
Right.
what was the word of God, what wasn't? And if it's possible that like these are fallible men like picking what's going in, isn't it possible that they picked the wrong ones?
Absolutely.
Could you imagine how
Absolutely.
different the religion would be if they'd like picked different books to go in?
Right. There's books that we don't even know about. Like, can you imagine if one of the books was like dressed like a clown on every Thursday?
Yeah.
Like, that would be a thing. Every Thursday, people would dress like clowns.
I'd like that.
I know people who'd be terrified of that. It's like
Yeah.
a worst nightmare. It's like worse than zombie Jesus. It's like, oh, it's a plague of clowns. The fucking Christians are out again and they're fucking honking their noses at me. Like balloon crosses, like balloon animal, like but in a cross-shaped crucifix. Oh, could you
That would,
imagine?
yeah, that would make Christianity fun. If I could just dress like it every Thursday,
Yeah.
just frighten children.
It's like, hey kids, have you heard about the word of the Lord? And like, have your own like balloon Jesus and follow me, kids.
Make Christianity great again. Just make Christianity great again. That's what I'm going to go for now.
Yeah, I could have a, I could blow up a balloon that has a Bible verse on it, and then I pop it, and blood just shoots out everywhere. That would make Christianity awesome.
Yeah, they need to put some more showmanship into it. There's been
Exactly.
too much of this stuff, like just sitting there in the pews and like little old tatty prayer book and all that kind of stuff, and singing these old songs. They need to like really put the pageantry into it.
Yep. They need to make Christianity more metal.
Yeah, it's like they've got all these verses about like Daniel and the lions. They should like actually have it where they've got like the lions kept there, and they have like somebody actually fighting them off, being Daniel, like a live performance for the Christians to see. That kind of thing would
Yeah.
really liven it up.
I'll
And
go
if
to
some of them
church.
get eaten, you know, it's not so bad.
Yeah, I want to re-edit the Bible. I'm gonna kind of campaign to do that.
Pick up
Like,
my
it
bar.
needs- For one thing, it needs a plot.
Yeah,
Central
needs-
theme.
It needs a likable character, because the main character, God, is not likable.
Kind of a dick.
Yeah, he's a fucking asshole.
he's like the world's first prima donna, really. It's no, you're gonna do this the fucking way I want it. Otherwise, there's gonna be shit. Shit is gonna get serious.
Because I love
Yeah,
you.
like, oh god, it need better writers. Like,
Yeah,
well, like, yeah, on this show I reference Sopranos a lot. Like Tony Soprano, he was a genuine bad guy, a sociopath, but you rooted for him because he had good writers on the show. That's what the Bible needs.
so that's the issue with the Christian God is like poor writing. You could have actually empathized with him if you actually had like writers who actually built his character up to something beyond just the megalomania and things.
Exactly.
Yeah, they needed a storyboard. They needed a way to humanize God a little more.
Yep.
They need to chuck some whole chunks out as well. It's like it ends up dragging in places. It's like all the places with the like laws and things like that. It's like
Oh,
they could have just said, "This is our law book. That's there." But read the Bible for like this is you can find out how it came about by reading the Bible. But the law book that's over there, you don't have to read through that. If you need to reference something, look it up. You know,
Yeah, there's a lot of filler.
yeah. Just stick
Yeah.
it right in the fucking narrative. It's like it's you know they say like the Israelites they took 40 years to get across the desert. It's like I'm not fucking surprised. It's like the amount of fucking laws that they were given. And if you read the story as well, it's because it's like keep on jumping from one scene to the other. You've got Moses is just like up and down that fucking mountain like a marathon runner.
Like a fucking
He's like an
Sherpa.
ancient guy running up and down this fucking mountain. So, oh, God's fucking called again. I'll be back. and then he's up there for 40 days without food or water or whatever. And it's like, right, I hope you remember those laws that I told you. Yeah.
It's like when you're growing up, you like have to sneak outside to have a cigarette or something like that. Moses had to sneak up the mountain to get a cigarette.
Yeah.
Nobody would know he smoked.
It just turns out that Moses had a really bad drug problem. He just kept on saying, yeah, I'm getting fed up of looking at you. Oh, God's calling.
I gotta go.
Up the mountain, like, I saw a burning bush. Yeah, more believable, definitely.
Yeah.
I would love to read a like Bible version of the other side of the people that followed Moses and just their banter.
Yeah.
I would like to read that. Like just the people being like, "Man, what the fuck."
Like they're keeping diaries, and it's like day 563 in the desert. Moses has dragged us to this place again. There's no fucking water. There's nothing to eat.
Yeah.
He kept complaining. He ended up
Definitely
getting
been here
into a
before.
huff. Yeah, he got into a huff. He pissed off up the mountain. We're down here saying, well, where's our fucking water? It's like, we don't know how long it's gonna be away.
It's like day 560. Okay, we're probably gonna kill this prick.
It's like there's even the story, like he's away for a while and they end up saying, oh, this God who we've actually seen, like he parted the Red Sea, we saw like pillars of fire, we saw all those plagues back in Egypt. We've decided we don't like him anymore because Moses hasn't been giving us enough attention, so let's make this bull. We'll make a bull out of gold. It's like, you could imagine they'd actually be in such a fucking, like, you know, that starvation and deprived of water and getting so fed up, they would end up doing fucking wacky stuff like that. It's like, yes, I'm gonna worship a bull. Yes, please save me, bull. The God I'm following is a jackass. You know. Yeah, it's like it goes on. It's like in Exodus and Leviticus, there's even like a part where he's like being really, really particular about how he wants his temple to be. And he hasn't even got a temple yet. So it's like, right, I know we're out in the desert, we're gonna have to have like this really long journey, but I'm gonna get you to build this really huge structure that you're actually gonna have to carry. And I want it to be like adorned with gold. I want the altars to be like this, they have to be this size. And it's like, you could imagine being one of the Israelites and saying, could we not just fucking set something up when we get there? What do we need to look this fucking thing through the desert for? And why are you being so particular? If you want it like this, fucking use your finger, go zap, and you've got your fucking temple. But he makes them work for it, and it's like, they've got to appreciate it because he saved them from slavery or whatever. It's a...
You know, just some like asshole interior designer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like the most neurotic interior designer in history. So fucking specific, and it's like, not only is it told once, but then you actually end up having like the retelling of how they actually built it to his specifications,
Right.
just to make sure that you understand, you know, it's got to be this way. I think he was a bit like anal about things. It's like, no, you've deviated from my plan, you're gonna get fucking smitten. It's like, does this look like 5/8? No, it's not 5/8. I said it's got to be 5/8 thick and deviated.
Ah, shit, half of this was metric, half of it was American sized. God damn it.
Yeah, it's like, I said cubits. You've fucking done this in palms or whatever.
Fucking Americans,
Yeah.
just get their shit together and get the metric too.
Yeah. We've got a weird attitude towards the metric system, actually, because it's like, officially we've got the metric system, but nobody bothers with it. It's like you taught it in school and then you have to like forget it so that you can remember like feet and inches and everything. So,
Yeah, well, like literally the rest of the world uses the metric system except for us for some reason.
yeah, and it's like it's illegal here. To like, if you went into a shop, it has to be in kilograms and grams and things like that, all the measurements. And there were some people who would like come into a shop I worked in and say, well, what's that in ounces? I work in ounces and pounds, and it's a I'll get the calculator out. Oh, well, why doesn't it just say it on here? I don't know. It's official.
That is so frustrating because like like even in America, if you become a scientist, you're going to use the metric system.
Yeah. And there's good reason for it.
And
converts
yet,
really well.
yeah, and yet they teach kids ounces and pounds. It's fucking bizarre.
Yeah. But it's like, if they could just teach them the further lesson of like, this is how you convert. You know, it's like, this is
Right.
how you like convert to this other system. And, you know, sometimes in different places in the world, you might actually encounter they use different units. So this is how you use maths to actually figure this out. It would be
Yeah,
useful.
but that's too complicated for Americans. We can't do that.
Yeah, it wasn't made in America. I'm not fucking bothering with it.
Yep.
There are like 5 countries that use ounces and pounds, and
Yeah, and the other thing is we don't actually agree on them either, because when they were actually in use, it was just like folk measurements. It's like some person would say like you'd probably have like the town measure keeper, and it's like a pound is defined as being the same weight as this turnip, you know.
Oh,
And
shit.
when everybody split off, they ended up having slightly different ideas of exactly what a pound should be.
Right.
So it's like here we've got like imperial, and all of our measurements have had to be standardized. And then you've gone off and standardized in a different way. So it's like your pints are slightly different in size and.
the only measurement system that I think we do better is temperature, which is Celsius versus Fahrenheit.
Right.
I think that's a little more accurate. Like, as we go from 32 degrees to, I don't know.
To me, it's like, well, obviously I'm biased because I live in a country where we use the like Celsius, but it's like freezing is 0, boiling is 100, and it gives you a really, it's like you can tell whether or not something's over freezing point if it's over 0. If it's going into like sub-zero temperature, it's actually sub-zero.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but they end up again. They use Celsius in their science as well. It's like anytime you get like stuff about like when water boils and things like that, it's always done in Celsius, or they end up using Kelvin if it has to be like really, really precise.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
But I like Fahrenheit because, I don't know. It's more accurate when you want to know the temperature, I guess.
Unless you're a foreigner coming into the country and it's like they're saying it's like 70 degrees, it's like what? We're gonna die.
No,
Yeah,
it's just
it's like I have conversations all the time, like when I'm speaking to Americans and they're saying, "Oh, what temperature is it like there?" It's like, wait a second, I'll look it up. It's like, what? You're gonna look up the temperature like on your No, I've actually got to look it up. I've got to put the conversion in because it's not an easy thing to convert to. It's like you've got to do like add this much, divide by this much, and
yeah.
they just don't fucking mesh.
Goddamn American.
And you know, when it comes down to it, it doesn't matter because it's if I go outside, it's like, oh, it's this many degrees Fahrenheit or it's this many Celsius. It doesn't matter if it's fucking cold.
Yeah,
Right.
you can kind of tell with your skin. Your skin's adapted to actually be able to tell that. You don't go outside, look at a thermometer and say, "Oh, it's actually freezing cold," because it's like you look and the mercury is drained out of your thermometer for some reason. It's like, oh, it's fucking freezing out here, even though it's like I can feel the sun burning my skin. It must be like the thermometer says so.
Right.
Yeah, you go outside and you're like, oh, I have a physical reaction how cold it is. Who gives a fuck what the exact temperature
What the number is, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, how precise do you need to be with the amount of clothing you put on? It's like, if it goes up another degree, it's like, if it goes up another degree, I'll need to wear another layer. But like, if it doesn't, then I'll risk it. You know.
Yeah.
I'll
No,
have to calibrate my
I'm
clothing.
good right now, yeah.
Yeah, I actually had another. That was actually another conversation I ended up having on Twitter because there's a special breed of theist on Twitter. I think all the crazy ones are the ones that speak up. But there was a guy was like saying that, you know, like the Great Pyramid in Giza,
Mhm.
Yeah.
the latitude of that pyramid. He was saying, oh, strange coincidence that the latitude is actually the same as the speed of light in kilometers per second, like to a certain amount of decimal places. And I looked it up. It is actually about the same. But
Really?
the thing is, it's like I ended up saying to this guy, look, if you these numbers, it's not a case of like there's actual lines on the globe. You know, you see these globes with lines on. That's not actually how it is.
Right,
We had
right.
to invent a system to measure these things. We actually had to we had to invent a system of like this is how long a kilometer is and stuff like that, and this is how long a second is. These aren't intrinsic values of the universe. It's not a message. It's just
Right.
coincidence. That's
Yeah.
the word for it.
It's
But-
the thread we've been in. How long have you been in that thread, by the way, on Twitter? Like months now, right?
I've lost all fucking sense of time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been going. It's been
Yeah.
going on since early last year.
It's crazy, dude. But some of the theists in that thread, there's been a couple really good ones who are like want to convert with you, but most of them are just complete shitheads.
Yeah, and it's the shitheads who tend to stick around as well.
Yeah.
And all of them seem to like. You can just. It's like you obviously you don't see how the people actually approach Twitter. You don't see like them sitting at the keyboards or anything. But you can imagine that like sitting there with a big smirk on their face. I've got the argument that's going to fucking wreck these
Yeah.
atheists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh yeah, we covered that like, 5 times in the last month. It's like, they'll say like Pascal's wager. What if you're wrong? They fucking stumped you.
Yep. Yep.
It's like
Uh,
there has to be a drinking game for that thread because it's like the amount of times that the arguments come up.
oh, dude, we should make a drinking game for that.
I don't know if I'll be. I
yeah,
don't know if I'll be alive. Nobody would survive the thread if
No.
you're actually drinking every time the same
All right.
moronic argument came out.
Atheist science.
But yeah, it's like, and it's always with like there's a lot of people. Recently, we've been getting some really, really smug and cocky people, like really think that they're like they can't do anything wrong. There's nothing they could possibly do that would be,
Yeah.
not to name names.
Yeah, I'm not gonna give him any credit on here.
Yeah, he gives himself enough fucking credit anyway. It's like there's
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure that guy while he's on there, he's just like bashing away at his keyboard and bashing away at something else.
Yeah.
It's like he really thinks that he's leading everybody on a merry dance.
Yeah. I got him. I got him on this one.
It's like, yeah, you're leading us on a merry dance in the same way that a fucking rodeo clown does.
Exactly.
Everybody's pointing and laughing. It's yeah. It's I don't understand where these people get their ego from, and it's probably
Oh,
the
man,
reason
it's
that
crazy.
they continue to believe bullshit. It's a
Yep.
very important skill to actually learn that you can be wrong about things, and to question things and to say like, maybe I don't actually know everything, and they don't seem to be able to do that. It's like, nope, I got the answer, so. you know.
Right. Right. Well, I think that's how a lot of us became atheists. Is we were able to put our beliefs on hold and be like, hold on a second, does this make any sense to me anymore? Like, can any of this make sense at all?
Yeah. And I
And I
remember that process, like in my 20s, like it was more so when I like went from being into the pagan stuff to being an atheist. And it's like finding that I was diluting my belief more and more. And it's just like, do you know, like how you get like, you've got pantheism and you've got like deism and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
We start to get like this vaguer and vaguer picture of a god. And it got to the point where I thought, well, what exactly is this? Like, why am I actually saying I believe in a god? It's like, what justification have I got for this? Why am I clinging to these things? And
Right.
the god that I believe in is just becoming less and less of a thing that interacts with reality. It's having less and less of an effect on how I behave and
Yep.
my life. And I ended up thinking, well, really and truly, if I think about it, I don't really believe in it. It's like I'm just kind of comfortable with the idea of there being a god.
Right. Going through the motions of church, going through the motions of talking to the guy upstairs.
Yeah, and yeah, it's amazing how it just seems like a click in your brain, like theist switch has been turned off.
And it's stuck.
Yeah, yeah, it's like I've spoken to quite a few people who've actually like converted at various stages, and it's like there've been some people who've been like really, really in deep. It's like for me, it's like I'm over here in England where we've got like this really kind of wishy-washy version of Christianity, like where we wouldn't even qualify as Christians over here compared to America, because it's just like you go to church on Sunday and try not to swear too much at people, and that's generally it.
Right.
And but yeah, it's like there've been people I've spoken to who've like been in the really, really cult like groups, like where they're getting into like they're chanting and raving and talking in
Yeah.
tongues and all that kind of stuff, and really,
Oh yeah.
and then they've come out of it and they say, "What the fuck was I thinking?"
Yep. Yep.
It's like they're like having to stand and look at their theistic self and thinking, "I don't recognize this person. Something's just clicked in their head, and it's
Crazy.
like alien to them."
Yeah.
You know what it really was for me that turned me into atheism was the way, like, in America, religion is so politicized. It's so ingrained in political. Well, we have two parties, which were like, I don't know. As far as I read, most countries, like most industrial countries, have several political parties.
Yeah. It's like we have like even mainstream. It's like there's probably three that are classed as mainstream here, and that's like you've got Labour, the Liberal Democrats, and the Conservatives, and that's just mainstream, and they're all actually people who get substantial votes at various times, who like they've been long running parties. So yeah, it is kind of weird. It's like in America, it's like the idea of voting for an independent. It's kind of like you might as well throw your vote away.
Right.
Yeah, no, it really is. That's why. Yeah, that's how it's just easy here to become apolitical because of. Yeah, there's two parties. There's, liberals who, I don't know, get mad at stuff, and then conservatives who get mad at stuff. There's like no in between. Like,
Yep.
Sometimes they get mad at the same stuff, but it's for different reasons.
yeah,
It's so
they can agree on
confusing.
is mad. Yeah, and it's like it's amazing how polarized things can get. It's like I remember like when I first started Twitter, somebody said to me like, "Are you pro-life or pro-choice?" And it wasn't really something that had ever occurred to me to actually try to narrow down exactly what my stance on abortion was. It's just a case of like, yeah, I understand that abortions go on. It's fair enough. People like might want an abortion. I don't think that everybody should just be aborting every baby. And I'm just like, you know, it happens sort of thing. But it's like, no, you've got to pick a side.
Yep.
Either you're okay with them murdering, they're murdering the little babies, or you're one of these people who just wants to allow babies to be killed. And it's, well,
Not
that's
not
their
everything
take on
is so black and white, but when
Yeah.
you have two choices, that's all you're left with is extreme or not extreme.
Yeah. So it's like that was really bizarre for me because it's like when I first heard about like the full choice thing, it was actually I'd heard it from the conservative side and thought that was just a case of like loose women, and it's like, oh, we don't have to use any kind of birth control, we can just, you know, just snap the fucker's neck and that'll be done with this,
Right.
you know, because that's the impression that they created. And so it's like, well, I don't really side with those people. It's like, no, I'm not really. I don't think that that's right, but I don't really agree with you because I thought, well, where the fuck do I stand? And it was only after I'd actually like kept on seeing it come up, and it became more of this thing of like you've got to pick a side and where do you stand sort of thing. I ended up thinking, right, well, I'm probably on the pro-choice side, and it's not what you've been telling me it is.
Right.
yeah.
We've had that argument in the thread as well.
Yeah.
They end up going on this crusade. It's like about how immoral atheists are because we want to kill all the babies. And we keep on trying to tell them it's like it's once actually born full term, properly fattened up. That's when we want to eat them. You know?
Exactly.
If we abort them, what the fuck are we going to have to eat?
Exactly.
Have you tried to eat a zygote? They're fucking tiny.
Yeah, what else are atheists going to feed on except aborted babies?
It's like you get like the aborted fetus, and it's like, there's hardly any meat on this.
Yeah. Well, no, that's what the conservatives are right about. When you eat aborted fetuses, you gain their parents' wisdom. and power.
Right.
Ah.
It's kind of like that episode of South Park with Christopher Reeves.
Yes. Oh my god, dude. Yeah.
It's like sucking it out, and then it's like he's getting out of the
So good. Yeah.
I can't even remember exactly what he ends up saying, but I've just got the image of him like snapping its neck and just like. And it's like,
That sound, yeah.
yeah,
That was also the episode where Timmy and Jimmy join the Crips.
Yes.
yeah. And it's like, yeah, do you think that somebody has to be like a Crip from birth, or whether or not they can just join later?
I don't know. That's probably my favorite cartoon ever. And
Yeah.
that might have been the greatest episode ever.
I think that South Park definitely went through a period where it was like the best thing on, and unfortunately, I think that they've ended up starting to lose it. But they're probably getting a bit sick of it at this point.
Oh.
Really.
See, the last 2 seasons, I think, were phenomenal. I think they really kind of went back to...
Yeah, I think that's kind of like just after the bounce sort of thing, because they kind of went like you're not really sure if it's like it seems to be slipping, and then they have like managed to work out what the fuck they're doing now and start to get back to it.
Yeah, they've definitely rebounded,
But,
in my opinion.
But yeah, I've got a lot of respect for Trey Park, and it's I don't necessarily agree with everything that he thinks, but as somebody who likes puts work in and creativity and stuff like that, he's really like a genius. It's like Mormon is it Book of Mormon the musical that you made?
Yeah.
It's like the person who can like come up with that, and it's like gets involved in every aspect of it. I really respect somebody who can
It's
do
impressive. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I love their, I don't know, their fascination with religion.
that. Yeah.
It's kind of... Because they've done a lot of episodes where it's kind of shaped my view on different religions and like looking at it in an objective way. Not from watching that episode, but I mean, I would watch the episodes and then I would have to do research.
Yeah. And that's the thing with it's like there are some people who would like watch something like that and say, "Oh well, they must have it spot on," and not bother to research it. But it's like, yeah, it's like for anybody who's actually willing to think and use a brain, you look at an episode like that, the one they did about Mormonism, for instance, and like Scientology.
Dum 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 dum.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, is that what they actually believe? Let's have a look, see if that's, you know.
Right.
But yeah, the Mormon one was fucking awesome. It's like I love
Oh,
that.
that was so good.
Yeah.
That's what Mormons actually believe. Dum 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 dum.
Yeah, and then you had the whole thing with Isaac Hayes like splitting with them and quitting because of it, which I don't know whether or not it was his decision or whether or not he was pressured by the church.
Oh yeah, we covered that in an episode, and Scientology allegedly quote. Yeah, he was on his deathbed when he disavowed South Park. And
Yeah. So.
it was allegedly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Church of Scientology. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like I loved their episode on that as well because it's just like they've actually got it where they're saying to Stan, like Stan is at first like believing, well, I am what they tell me I am. I am L. Ron Hubbard reincarnated and stuff. And then it ends up where it's like I'm struggling to come up with these things, and I said, well, just make it up. It's like, what do you mean, just make it up? Like get inspiration? No, literally make it up. That's what we've always done this.
Yep.
Oh yeah. No, like because Stan suggests that like he's like, well, maybe if this is helping people, then they shouldn't have to pay for it.
Yeah.
And then like the guy who may or may not be David Miscavige was like,
Yeah.
are you fucking retarded? You know how much money we're making?
Yeah, and I think that could be said of like, there's all kinds of religious figures who would fit that profile.
Yeah.
We don't have to name any in particular, but I do think that there is a possibility that there are people involved in various religions where they've just set themselves up a little franchise, and it's an enterprise they can get making money from it, from the gullible people. They don't have to buy it themselves, but just keep telling them what they need to tell them, and they'll get the fucking funds in.
Yep. Yep. I agree.
And I honestly think that that's how, like, certain churches, like the Mormons, it's like the Mormons, for instance, it's like he actually ran scams from the beginning. He was like, would go out and say, I'm using these special dowsing rods to find gold and stuff, and then fuck off with the money. So
Dowsing rods.
it's like no big surprise that you would end up coming up with a church where, you know, the more powerful you are in the church, you end up getting more and more people's wives and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, I'm at the top of this church, but God told me that the higher you are in this church, the more people's wives you can kind of acquire and have in your harem there.
Yeah, because he had these translations from God, and then he was like, no, you can't look at it. Oh, God said you can't look at it. Only I could look at it. So,
Yep.
Yeah,
and
and
religion is built on that.
so the last thing I heard was Chris talking about the reading the magical stone tablets nobody could read.
Yeah, except Joseph Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's like a lot of that established in the Bible as well, where you can actually set up certain objects as being sacred and nobody else is allowed to touch them. Even the seer stones, the Urim and Thummim or whatever fucking vowely consonant words. Also, you know, it sounds like somebody trying to spit a hair out of their mouth, really, like, Thummim. But yeah, that's even taken from like what the Levites and the different priests were supposed to have like had in sacred boxes and things. So it's a very good religion to build a platform on if you want to get money out of people.
Oh, yeah. I really wish I would have started like a religion or something like 100 years ago.
Yeah, it's like, and that's the thing. It's like if enough time passes by, like it ends up where that will be accepted as legitimate. It has to be because it's old, because apparently that's how it works.
That's what blows my mind about Scientology.
Like 40 years old.
Yeah. Yeah.
50.
It really it picked up speed, like started in the 50s, but really picked up speed in the 60s. It was actually in like I think the 70s when they really grew their numbers.
Yeah.
And like acquired famous people.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly.
I think that we should have just like said allegedly at the beginning of the show, and it's like take it as granted that you can't really trust anything that's being fucking said. It's all hearsay.
I think that's the main message that I give off for this whole podcast is that don't trust anything we say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that if you're the kind of person who's just going to listen to one thing and follow it religiously, therein lies the problem. You're doing it religiously.
Yeah.
So don't take your ideas from one show. Actually think, this has sparked something in me. I'm curious about it, and then do your research. It's not that difficult.
Yep. I think that's why what you're doing is a great thing. Like you're not going too far off the main message of the actual books. You're rewriting, and it does make you go through and review. Like, oh shit, they actually did say this in the Bible.
Yeah, and I actually end up reading it to people because, like, I find if I want to get something worded correctly, reading it out loud is a really good way of doing that. It's like you can actually like pick up grammatical mistakes and all that kind of stuff. So I end up like reading it to my family. Luckily, I've got a family who is pretty liberal and okay with me, like saying, like talking about fathers and daughters and their shenanigans and saying cunt and fuck and stuff.
Right.
But yeah, it's like I end up reading the things to them, and there's a lot of times I end up saying like that part about the part where he ends up doing this. Is that actually in there?
Yeah.
And that's the point. It's like if you actually read it and you're thinking, how do I distinguish the fiction from the truth? That should tell you something about the way that this book is written. It's
Yeah.
not written as something which, like, any fucking thing could be written in the Bible. It's like it's not that much of a stretch to add the kind of stuff that I actually put into it.
Right. Exactly. Yep.
So, yeah, definitely look it up. Definitely read it and think about what I'm actually basing it on, because I'm,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not fabricating the whole story.
Yeah, no, that leads me to a question I wanted to ask you.
Right.
If
Nope. We're out of time. Sorry.
well, folks, that's the ship. I was gonna ask if like for the Bible, like what's something you like? What's like a positive verse or character or story?
That's actually a harder question than finding something negative, really. But I think that it's like there are some times when it like talks about like the Israelites having been slaves in Egypt, and it says like, remember you were actually slaves once, so bear that in mind when you're owning your own slaves. It's kind of like, obviously the whole part about owning slaves isn't all that a positive a message, but at least trying to get them to think back and
Right.
um yeah, it is quite difficult to pick things out. It's like, I think like the big three and the Ten Commandments, where it's like don't kill, don't steal, and you know, um I'm trying to think of the other one which is actually decent. It's like adultery probably isn't a good idea if you don't want if you don't agree that you're gonna start swinging or whatever. But yeah, it's like,
Well, adultery falls under like don't even think about banging a chick.
yeah, that's like in the New Testament it ends up becoming thought crime.
Yeah.
I think the other one that that I would say is really important from there is like don't lie, and I don't think it's a case of that lying in general is a bad thing. I think like if your wife says to you, "Do I look fat in this?" Lying is the best thing you can possibly do. But it's like, just generally don't go around being a dishonest jerk and popping
Right.
everybody off with I've got a massive dick and everybody loves me and I've got all this money and all this kind of don't go around being like that, because people will end up sussing you on it. But so there
Yep.
are little nuggets in there, but it's the kind of stuff where anybody could figure it out. It's like they think some godly intelligence figured out that maybe it's not a good idea to go around killing each other. It's like
Yeah.
Yep.
staggering intellect to realize that if you go around killing each other, it's going to be a chaotic society. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've always thought like you don't need the Bible. Like growing up in a society, like common sense would tell you that these things are wrong.
yeah, and I don't even think that Christians really follow the Bible, to be honest. I think it's a case of that they have their own morals, which are more, they come from the society that they live in, and they'll find parts of the Bible that they can use to justify it and say, well, the reason I believe it's not a good idea to kill people is because it says it there. Really and truly, it's a case of this is what they actually believe. If they've got some kind of bigoted idea about homosexuals and things like that, they'll also find that in there as well. It's really just a case of getting the book and molding it to what they want it to be and picking out
Yeah.
the parts which they think reflect their God, really. That it's funny that the God that they believe in actually agrees with everything that they think.
Yeah.
That's essentially that's what the Bible is. It's just a case of like, well, I can't think of a good reason for why it is that I think this, but it's written in here, so that kind of answers it, and you don't have to answer. ask
Basically,
any more
it's
questions.
basically a book of confirmation bias.
Yeah, it's
Really?
like I think Jeff Dee on the early days of the atheist experience called it the big book of multiple choice. It really is. It's like
Like
catch
that.
all. You've got some kind of scenario you need to justify. Pull a verse
Right.
out, and there'll be something in there that will actually justify it. I think if you actually lived by the Bible, you wouldn't be able to do anything. It's like technically it's sinful to like breathe in or something. It's like taking a shit.
Oh yeah. You couldn't think. If you lived by the Bible, you couldn't think any thoughts.
Yeah.
There's actually Damn, I just remember the name of it. There's a book a guy wrote where he spent the entire year as if he was living in the Bible. Like he had to do what the
Right.
Bible would have said.
Oh,
Of course, I don't have it like.
people.
Yeah, I'm not gonna pull it up. Of course, I'm not gonna pull it up now. But yeah, it's I haven't read it yet. It's on my wish list, but it's along the same lines. The guy had to live like an entire year, and I think he was in jail a couple times. Like,
So he was actually living amongst other people
right?
to do this experiment.
Yeah,
The Year of Living Biblically by
yeah,
A.J. Jacobs.
yep.
Yeah, that's a very risky game to play. It's like as soon as you get to like some of the parts about like stoning people for quite minor things, you picked up a stick and it was the wrong day, you could die, fucker. Do you know what I mean?
It's insane, man. It's so insane.
Yeah, and I love little things like that in the Bible where it's just like, it just seems like God was in a bad mood that day. It's like, I'm fed up with you. You're just doing whatever the fuck you want. Don't even fucking pick up a stick. It will piss me off. It will get on my nerves. It's like he just ends up getting really tetchy, and it's like goes through this sensitive period. Like anything you fucking people do just gets on my nerves. So
Yeah, that's kind of the gist of the Bible, is that God is just really he's
A
suffering.
bipolar asshole.
Yeah,
yeah, and there's an interesting thing actually, like when you get into like the morality of it, because obviously, according to Christians, God's rules are moral, except for the ones that they conveniently ignore, because when he sacrificed his son, that got rid of some of the immoral ones, which wouldn't have been immoral because God came up with them, but whatever. So yeah, it's like, you can actually ask, it's like, why is it that these things are considered to be moral? Is it that they're moral because God said so, or is it that there's actually morality outside of God that God just is aware of? If it's the first case, then that's just a case of like, there really isn't an objective morality, he's just making it up as he goes along.
Right.
If it's the second one where there's actually morality outside of God, then
We don't need him.
what the fuck do you need him for? Yeah.
Right.
And there's like, I think it was Plato or Socrates came up with it and framed it in the terms like in a play, to like a moral play to demonstrate it, and it was called the Eucathro problem, where he's essentially like saying the same thing about the Olympian gods. It can be just as easily applied, and probably even better applied, to the Christian God. So
Yeah.
you really do get a sense of it's like might makes right. He's the biggest, strongest thing in the universe. He brought you into this world, he can take you out. So if he decides that murdering that group of people over there is good, it's good, it's moral. God said so.
Right. Wow.
Which is kind of, it's a heavy topic to, but yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
such a moral book.
It's so good. Well, that's been an hour and a half.
And
Do
I've
you wanna-
lasted, didn't fall asleep.
There you go. Did you want to say anything else about any of your websites or your forums or anything else?
Well, I do have a publication in the works where I'm going to release some of the stories actually in a book.
Nice.
Trying to get that together. Got a really good cover artist who I'm absolutely pleased with, and he's going to get credit in the book because he's done a really good job with that. So hopefully, on my Twitter feed, which is like the main thing I use for like posting when I come up with stories and things, you'll actually see like that there's been a book published, that it's available to buy, and you can annoy your Christian relatives by buying it as a stocking filler.
There we go.
They'll
Yeah, we'll
love it 'cause it's the
definitely.
Bible.
Nice. Yeah, once that's out, we'll put it on our website for you too. That's
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, that would be awesome. But yeah, I wonder how many people would actually be duped into buying it because it's got Bible in the title. And then like,
make it as bland as possible.
like the eyes actually end up popping out on stalks.
Might be a revolutionary book, man.
I don't really have any delusions of anything like that happening, but if at least there's like people can like flick through it and have a laugh and maybe think, like getting to people to maybe think is always a good thing.
Yep.
So
Yeah, I'm gonna read that. Yeah, that was awesome having you as a guest. Cause
yeah, it's been really fun.
yeah, I think we should definitely do that again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
up for any time. In fact, that's written on some of the bathroom walls around here.